Dumba Jomden de Java da Jomba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Riba da Shabsu Demba Devara Sheva Jigden Jemba Jebo Deve Galo Jorva Lana Meva Lada Menamje Dumba Sanje Jomden de Bejawa jaja doba la jaze lo chedo jazo che ho denba chomden de tejin shaba Dajumba yandaba zobe sanje rigba da shabsu denba dewara shaba Jigden jemba jebun duwe kalo jorwa lana meba lada menam je tomba sanje chumden de Bejawa jaja duba la jaze lo chodo jazo che ho denba chumden de dejin sheba Dajumba yandaba dobe sanje riba da shabsu denba dewara sheba jigden chemba jebu duwe galo yorwa lana meba lada menam je domba sanje jumden de pejawa shaja duba la jaze lo shodo jazo che ho sanje chodan soje chonama la janju bado dane jazo che dage cheshe jebe chonama je Dola penje sanje dobara sho sanje chodan soje chonama la Janju bado dane jabso che dage cheshe jebe sonamanje Dola benje sanje dobara sho sanje chodan soje chonama la Janju bado dane jabso che dage cheshe jebe sonamanje Dola penje sanje dobara sho. Good morning, and I hope you can see me and hear me clearly, because this morning I had a bit of a scare because I replaced my old laptop with a new one, and then when I try to do the live streaming using OBS, I couldn't get it working. So I had to frantically reach Ken Dunn, but in the end I fiddled with it and I managed to get my pages up. But I hope you can hear me and see me as well. Okay, good. Seeing and hearing, great. That's good. That's what happens, isn't it? The technology, they force us to upgrade everything. When you change one gadget, and then the others, what you call, become obsolete or incompatible, and you are forced to buy. And I feel the Apple is very naughty in that case, because every time you buy a new iPhone or anything, they force you to buy the charger. Either that pin is different or something else is different. So when I replaced this, my old laptop, I had to buy many accessories. The monitor, the connector to from my laptop to the monitor and cable is different. No longer that USB port. It is USB-C or something. So that's the technology. And we cannot, or shall I say, it's difficult to keep up with the technology or the advancement of modern technology. So that's why Shantideva is pointing to us that if we developed attachment to all these things, it is very difficult. It is hard to keep up. And then because you have these attachments, you suffer. Anyway, let's try to recap what we discussed last week. So the main point, because Shantideva was still pounding on the fact that attachment is disastrous. Attachment can result into unpleasant consequences. There is never really a pleasant or benefit, real benefit. In anything that is resulted from our attachment. Our attachment either to material things or persons. So here, the last week, the gist of it is that no matter how beautifully we adorn artificially our body, which is in reality impure, that cannot change or make that impure body into a pure one. So adornment by what is artificial cannot make the body clean and pure. We may beautify our body. We may use perfume to have a nice fragrance. But Shantideva is saying that at the core, it is unclean, it is impure. So no matter how much time and effort we put into beautifying our body, it can never become pure. And then our attachment, one of the arguments is that I'm not really attached to the unclean and this smelly body. I am drawn by this what you call artificially contrived beauty, which kind of emits a fragrance, a nice fragrance. So Shantideva is saying that if that is your rationale, then it is something completely irrelevant. Then you are not really, what do you call, these two things, the fragrance you are after and the person you want to associate, is completely different. There's no real correlation. The smell is not that person. The fragrance is not that person. And then Shantideva goes on to say that not only the body that we are attached to, it can be our own body. Some of us are so attached to our own body. Some of us are very attached to other person's body. Whatever the situation, body is not only impure and unclean, but it is also subject to decay and disintegration. Eventually, the body will crumble. It will disappear. It will disintegrate. It will decay. So to show the pointlessness of our obsession, if we know that the house or a car or anything that is going to be, let's say, destroyed, you wouldn't spend time and money on that particular object because you know that it's not going to last. It will be destroyed tomorrow. Let's say if you are selling your house, so if your closing is tomorrow, you are getting out of the house, you wouldn't go and beautify that house. It's because that you know that you will no longer be in that house. So in the earlier point on the uncleanliness, the reflecting on the uncleanliness of the body, so even then, after all their reflection, if you are still not convinced, if you find your attachment or obsession or this desire after that particular object is still strong and intense, then Shantideva says that go to a cemetery where you can see the dead bodies and observe. If it what do you call? If you need to, then you can even open up, cut the body, and then look inside. How disgusting, how unclean, how impure the body is. It is full of disgusting things there, full of unclean things. The way we will, what is the word? Repulse. The way we will distance ourselves, the way we run away from a garbage bin, a smelly, foul garbage bin, we would run away from the dead bodies. So that is the end result. And that is what we are so occupied with. That is what we are so obsessed with. And finally, Shantideva points out that not only body is subject to decay and disintegration, but it is also a source of mental detachment. Remember, he gives this example of sharpening a weapon that is to harm yourself. So attachment is like the weapon. The more like the weapon, the sharper we sharpen it, the more harm it can inflict, more hurt it can cause, more pain it can cause, more damage it can cause. Likewise, the more we are attached to something, the more we suffer. So that's the main point. So now we move on to the next kind of a subheading. So this is Sumba Minduba Tumaikeba Sambas. So our attachment to body, wealth, these are sources of our pain and suffering and undesirable things. So this stanza is like a summary. Tadar mizan gyurba de rime pani menyeto. Tedun tube shatangdang nyela sobe noba gyurus. The things that we are attached to, whether it be material things or persons, if our object of attachment can be easily found, if we don't have to put effort, it comes what you call kind of free, then it is not too bad. I mean, that's why Shandita was saying that. But our object of attachment, or our object of sensual pleasure, or the object of our desire, not only they are unclean, furthermore, these unclean are not found without paying a price. It comes with a price. You have to work for it. Not only we have to work for it, it has harmful consequences. In order to obtain them, I exhaust myself. You have to work so hard, physically, mentally. Nothing comes free. And in this life, we have to exhaust ourselves, physically and mentally, in order to secure our object of attachment. And in order to obtain that particular object, we engage in all kinds of negative actions. And as a result, we end up suffering in the future life. So this, in the commentary, of course, during Shandidava's time, the Indian, they have this practice called dowry system. In order for a woman to get married, you have to pay so much to the boys or the man's family. Even though it is being kind of shunned at, and it is kind of a, boycotted, but some corner part of India, it is still in play. So that's why in India a poor family, if they give birth to 2 or 3 girls, and they consider them doomed. That's why in India sometimes the people prefer son over girls, son over daughters. Because if you have a son, you can demand lots of wealth, make demands as part of dowry. And because of that, poor families, they abandon their babies. These are still happening. And then those olden days, when the kings, the practice of those days is that if a particular king is seeking a hand of a princess of another king, they have to make lots of gifts. So that's why saying that this does not come. And even in America or wherever, even in in this time and era, if you, I'm not sure, I could be completely wrong, but if you have a date, let's say a boy asks a girl for a date, and the boy, I think, is expected to pay for whatever dinner or lunch. So from even in this kind of dating system, you have to spend money just to date. And then once you are engaged and once you started to live together, then comes all the obligations. Then you kind of slave yourself to sustain or maintain or nurture your family. Sometimes requiring you to do 2 shifts. Just because of your family, just because of your partner, just to support the family members. So all this root from that desire. That's why a real monk's life is free of all that obligation. That's why in monastery, I told you that even though most of the monks may be penniless, but they are so happy because the daily meals, whether it be good or not, but at least it is provided by monastery. So as long as your tummy is full, as long as you are fat, you don't have to concern with other things. You don't have to worry about. Your only concern and worry is to study and practice. Nothing else. But as a lay person, when you are already in that, I don't know what you call that, that mud, or I don't know what you call that, it is very difficult. In order for you to be happy, everything has to go well with everybody in the family. If somebody else, your partner, your children, is something not going well with any of them, there's no way you can enjoy your life. You can be so happy. And I think I shared with you before that this is, I heard this from somebody. And this guy said that he has 2 daughters. And when the monks, they are touring monks, so when they come and spend time, their daughters spend the whole time with the monks. If they are staying in the basement, and they will be with them and they hardly come out because they find it so enjoyable to be with the monks. And he reckons that it is mainly because that the monks, they are very easygoing. They are always joking about, making fun of each other, and taking everything very, what do you call, I don't know, very, very easy. Whereas he says that when layperson, when we meet each other for a cup of coffee, he said that after what you call perfunctory greetings, or after the greetings, and then comes out about, oh, my daughter is having this, my wife is having this, my husband is having this, and it's all about complaining, all about how things are not going well. And then in order to support your family, you have to do all kinds of things. Imagine some people, in order to support the family, they have to work in a slaughter where they are required to kill hundreds of animals every day. Not just one day, not just one animal, hundreds of animals every day. And that is to support. Anyway, so you got the point. Furthermore, these unclean are not found without paying a price. First of all, it is unclean, isn't it? It is impure. And that also, normally garbage and all this, you can get it free. Nobody wants it. You don't have to pay it. And I buy a lot of stuff on Facebook, and some of that, even the nice, good quality, you can pick up for free. You don't have to pay. And here is saying that first of all, it's unclean. And then you have to work for it, you have to pay for it. And in the course of that, you create so much negative karma. First of all, in this life, you exhaust yourself. You get so worked out. And then, in your next life, the consequences can be very disastrous or damaging, unpleasant, undesirable. So this is like the summary. Now going into detail. Chiba norbel minu be thala pamna di chi te norso pai tsek tukna kene dobe chishik chas. This is to show that despite our obsession over these objects of attachment, but we hardly have time to really enjoy it. So as a child, I'm unable to increase my life, my wealth. So when you divide your life into three kind of categories, when you are young, when you're too little, when you are baby, and then when you are real adult, in the prime. So you say, as a child, I'm unable to increase my wealth. Of course, when you are a child, you cannot even take care of yourself, let alone making money. In order to, let's say if you want to get a girl or a boy as your husband or a wife, the financial situation comes into a play, whether you like it or not. Even from the Darwin's theory, remember that according to Darwin's theory, that what men look for in a woman and what a woman looks for in a man, and resources, to be able to provide resources, is a big factor in that. So if you have no wealth, no money, you will be called a beggar, and nobody is interested in you. Only when you, it's a sad, but it is a fact that when you are famous, when you are wealthy, there is a likelihood that people give more interest. People favor one who is wealthy and famous over somebody who has nothing, who is a pauper, who is a beggar, who is a homeless. So when you are too young, too little, of course, as a child, I'm unable to increase my wealth. And then as a youth, when you become youth, after, you started your career, and then you are so focused on accumulating or amassing wealth and fame, and you wanted to get on the top of your career, or what is called what is that one? You join this rat race. So your obsession is about making money and becoming famous, creating this status. And by what happens? You get older and older. And then when you think that you have now amassed enough, when you think that you have enough to live a life that you really desired for, but you have already aged. Your body is not able to really enjoy all the things you want to enjoy, even as simple as enjoying a food. You cannot chew properly, even if you want to have a nice steak. Cannot. Your teeth cannot handle that. You have to eat something softer. Even your eyes cannot see properly. You cannot even enjoy a beautiful scene or anything. You cannot hear well. And then you realize that all that time and effort you have put into is kind of useless. You cannot enjoy it. and somebody else is going to enjoy that. So what is the point? What did it serve? What did this obsession, this attachment over, what do you call, wealth serve? At the end of my life, when I have the wealth, being an old man, what good will sex be then? So this is, of course, sensual pleasures. But you can relate that to everything. So it is really important to pause and ponder about what we are doing. Really examine what is the purpose. What are we? Why are we doing what we are doing? We have to make sure that we don't regret. Dödenyamba kachini ninrang legi yong tubde kibdu wone chebe lu rodan dawar nyawar ches. So we have to work so hard that we have no energy left to enjoy what we have desired for. Some evil and lustful people, it's not everybody, just giving an example, there are some people, evil and lustful people, wear themselves out by working all day in order to achieve that desirous goal. One have to work so hard. Some people have to do the hard physical job. Imagine if you are a construction worker in the hot sun, day after day, month after month. It's so exhausting. Unlike working in an office, nowadays you don't even have to go to office. You can work from your home. But whereas construction workers and other other different works, it's the labor work, physical work. You have to be physically there. You have to put up with harsh weather, wear themselves out by working all day, and when they return home in the evening, their exhausted bodies lie prostrate like corpse. Let's see, what is the other translation? Exhausted by a full day's work, come home in the evening and sleep like the dead. So basically saying that too exhausted, you have no time and energy. Kaji cheju nyomong dang ringdu songwe tu nyeje pumen döshin pumen nam chu kor le jang tong min jurus. And then there are situations where you have to travel afar. Some have the suffering of being disturbed with travel, afflicted by the troubles of traveling abroad because of military expeditions. So it could be it could be for different reasons. not everybody has the luxury to work from home in order to support your partner. I think we have come across people who don't really like what they are doing, but the pay is quite good. They find it very difficult. It is too difficult to do the job. It's too exhausting, too tiring. But they do it to support their partner, to support their family, because the pay is great. Having to go a long way from home, like those people who are in the military service. So Shanti, they were here during that era. Is like the merchants. People go for business trips. Those days, there was no aeroplanes. There's not even buses or trains. You have to either walk or go by ship. And it takes days, months, years. And then in order to, accrue, or in order to gain that wealth or money or whatever it is to support your loved ones, you have to leave behind the very person you are working for. You have to separate from the person whom you are doing this for. So having to go a long way from home, although they long for their spouses, they do not see them for years at a time. And then there were situations where you really lose your own freedom. You are completely under the control of others, under the mercy of others. So these are all Shanti was showing the disadvantages or the flaws or faults of being attached to either material wealth or persons. When we really chase after, when we really follow our desire, then we may end up in such kind of situations, these kind of situations. So this is one example that we may end up in a situation where we lose our freedom completely. So some people have to be a servant. And some bosses treat their servants terribly. They don't even treat the servant as a human being. The way in the ancient times, during the slavery times, people treat people like animals. So some people have no choice but to be in such circumstances. Tala pendu nambongbe kangdu nyedo zongba yang tematobar tömebe shenji legi lungi tes. And some who wish for benefit due to confusion even sell themselves for the sake of a woman and the like. So here confusion is kind of ignorant. that they believe that this way of doing things will fulfill my desire to be happy. But in the end, it was the opposite. And some who wish for benefit due to confusion even sell themselves for the sake of women and the like. Sell means sell your freedom. But not attaining what they wish, they are aimlessly driven by the winds of others' actions. You have no say, no choice. Whatever command you are given, you have to follow. Whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, you have to follow. You are in such a situation. Lala rangi lu zongxing wang me shen ji gui jur des. Chungma ta yang pu chung na xing zhong gombar babab chungs. So ki tsawa tendo nyen rangi lu chungma ta jeba xing. So this, some sell their own bodies. So this is, sell own bodies is not prostituting. So here it is more of a, that you, commit your body and your family's body to a service. So mainly to work like a maid or like a servant. So some sell their own bodies with, and without any power, are employed by others. So it's similar to the first, the previous stanza. Even when their wives give birth, their children fall at the feet of trees and in lonely places. So you are in such a destitute that you don't even have a proper place to give birth to your own child. But of course, in America, even if you are a servant or a maid, you are treated well. But in other parts of the world, you are treated so unfairly. But there are many people who are in such situation, that they are treated so badly. They don't have a proper room to sleep in. They have to work almost like, 24 hours. And that's the expectation. That's the thing that they impose on you. But you have no choice. Döbe lübe lemba ta sodu sobar chawo she soktor dokshin yudu juk kejir tendo drawar ches. This is 77. Some fools, so they call fools, you are deceived by the wealth and the object of your attachment. Some fools who are deceived by desire, deceived by desire, wishing for a livelihood, think I shall earn my living. Then, although afraid of losing their lives, they go to war. Others become slaves for the sake of profit. So these are similar points. That men or people, let's say, people will do all kinds of things deceived because they are deceived by desire, or just following their desire in order to fulfill their desire, in order to achieve the things they desire for. People will do anything. Some people will do anything, even it is a risk to their life. Even you know that there's a danger to your life. Then, although afraid of losing their lives, they go to war. Others become slaves for the sake of profit. So there is no need to elaborate on this. Döden lala lu yang che kaji seshin zela zuk kaji dongdong tagi nun kaji sekpa tajang nang. So this is to show that people will do all kinds of things just to fulfill their desire, just to achieve the, or shall I say, quench the sensual pleasures, thirst of sensual pleasures. I don't know whether you know about this. I hear this TV series called The Bachelor, and I think it's something to do with dating, and they are trying to compete for one person, or I don't know. So these are, what is that called? Is kind of real life thing that people do. Some lustful people even cut their bodies. We hear when people break up, when they are crazily mad in love, and then when their expressed love is denied or rejected, and it is very hard for people to accept that, and they even commit suicide. Or if a person were to tell you that I will accept your love if you cut your, I don't know, arm or hand or finger, there are people who are willing to such an extent. Some lustful people, these are all because of the lust, even cut their bodies. Others impale themselves on the points of sticks. Others impale, others fix themselves on stakes. Some stab themselves with daggers, and others burn themselves. Such things as are quite apparent. So in olden times, in order to win over a princess or something, you have to engage in all kinds of competitions. Some can be really difficult, but they do this, they persevere all these hardships in order to win over the princess. Sartang sungdang lakbe tungwayi norni pungju taye sheparcha norla chakbe yengwar gyurwanam sibe tunye leju kap medos. So now this is a big what you call that, summary. due to the torment involved in collecting it, protecting it, and finally losing it. Okay, so let me just go back. So there's another explanation. When they say lustful people even cut their bodies, it's like in order to let me for the desire of wealth or a woman or whatever it is, or man or whatever it is, people engage in things that can result in losing their arms or bodies. For example, in Muslim Islam or Muslim law, it's called Sharia law. And if there is something called cutting off hand as a punishment. So if you are found, engaging in some kind of a underage sex or anything, so the punishment can be cutting off your bodies, even stealing. So basically showing that in order to achieve these lustful goals, people engage in all kinds of activities that can result as a punishment, that can result losing your limbs or being punished on a sticking on a stake, or being stabbed with daggers. In olden days, when people try to have relationship with the king's wife, they will be punished in such ways. But these are all resulted from this desire, seeking this, driven by sensual pleasure. Due to the torment involved in collecting it, so this is a general, so our obsession over wealth, we can relate to that, refer to that one. So there's so much torment, so much suffering involved. First, in collecting, you have to work so hard in order to become wealthy. And then once you have some money, once you become rich, there is this fear of losing your wealth, fear of being robbed. Remember, I mentioned one time that there was someone who gave the not really advice. He says that what he does is that every morning when he wakes up, the first thing he does is check his bank balance, whether there is any theft, whether somebody has siphoned out his money. So this shows that there is so much concern and worry about losing your money. So we worry and work so hard to protect what we have, what little or what we have amassed. So we are so kind of engaged or engrossed in ways to protect our money. And then this is driven by, of course, the fear of losing one's wealth. And finally, when the time comes, you lose all that. I should realize well to be fraught with infinite problems. We should realize that wealth, the attachment towards wealth, can become a source of all the problems. Here it says infinite problems, countless problems, endless problems. Those who are distracted by the attachment to it have no opportunity to gain freedom from the misery of the conditioned existence. So if you are so obsessed on accruing money and wealth, so your whole time and focus will be on making money. And there will be no time to do Dharma practice, which can only relieve us from the misery of cyclic existence. You look at those very rich people who are holding such a high positions, who earns millions of dollars in a year, their annual income being millions of dollars. They hardly have time. Yeah, this point I think we all understand, we all know from our own experience that we are ordinary human beings. We can focus on one thing at a time. If one is driven only by this obsession over wealth, so there's no other drive. The drive for spirituality, drive for Dharma practice, drive to find a way out of samsara. So in the picture you see is like a person who is chained by a golden chain. The chain that you are bound or you are tied with is a gold one. But then you are still chained. You don't have freedom. You cannot move freely. Dweden namla tela so nyemi mawa nok chungte shingda tembe chu tagi zani kamga soba shins. Dweden namla tela so. In the same way as animals drawing carriages are only able to eat a few mouthfuls of grass, likewise desirous people have many disadvantages such as these and little profit. So this example is really, I think, very very poignant. So let's say a bullock cart. Here it says drawing carriages. So if they see on the road a bunch of green grass, and if they go for it, what they get is just a mouthful, but what will follow their action is is a whip from the charioteer. So this is like, the other example is like, it's like a cow or any animal, let's say cow, seeing seeing a small amount of grass growing on a very steep, dangerous cliff, and just for that small amount of grass, if that animal tries to go for it, we will consider that not that wise, not that clever, as a fool. Because you are risking so much, even your own life, just for a mouthful of grass. So that is what Shantideva was trying to point out. That obsession over wealth or being attached to wealth, fame, status, it is not worth pursuing. Chugi tumnang mikunbe nokjung kanyi te tundu dajur punsum nyekadi legi nawa namji choms. And since even animals can obtain this little profit, those who are pained by their previous actions waste these leisure and endowments so difficult to find for the sake of something trivial that is not so scarce. So if we are focused only on this world's pleasure, worldly pleasure, or just for the survival of this life, that's really like nothing different from animals. Some animals can even perform better than human beings when it comes to survival things. So nothing amazing about being born as human beings. If our conduct or behavior has no difference than the animals. So we are wasting this precious human rebirth, that the life that is free from all the unfavorable conditions to practice Dharma, and then is endowed with all these advantages or qualities. So in the image, in the picture, you see this precious vase or vase. This is such an expensive, such a precious container, which is adorned with all kinds of precious jewels. But if one uses this to hold like a urine, people will think that you are insane, you are crazy, you are stupid, you are a fool. So it says that, how does this go? Now I cannot remember that line. Rinjina Gemba Deis. Cannot remember now. Anyway, basically it's saying that if somebody who uses this precious container to hold unclean things, the person will be considered fool. But it says that it will be even more foolish when we waste this precious human rebirth and instead engage in negative actions. Kanshin serno rinjin tebayi ninju chawar cheba kan kaza ninju chawar cheba kan bas ani kare. Anyway, yeah, it's just I cannot recall. Anyway, the point is that we have this precious human rebirth. We are so fortunate to have this opportunity. So we shouldn't be distracted by all these desirous things. We shouldn't chase after our desire. If we do that, then we will end up suffering. We will achieve nothing. We will be wasting this precious human rebirth. Instead, we should utilize this human body and do something meaningful. At least ensure good rebirth, if not nirvana or enlightenment, but at least ensure that we achieve good rebirth in our next life, so that we can continue building our practices, progressing our way up to enlightenment. Okay, so that's about it for today. So let's end today's session here. Let's do the dedication. Tagi jinye zawe jawa de tendan jowa kunla kangben dan kebara chizun lozan tawa ye tembe nyingbo ringdo seche sho jambe bawe jedara gemba dan kundo zambo tenyan de jendo dada kungi jesu ta lobjin jawa dada tamje Rabdo ngo duzun jekwe jawa damje je ngowa kala chodo ngagwa de tagi kewe zawa digunja zambo joje rabdo ngo waragis. Thank you.